Hey guys, Evil and MrAweshum here, back with another episode of Evil's Demands on the Evil's Demands series, the series where we talk about some stuff that, should be changed or put into the game, and, it never happens.
But let's hope that it does happen. So that's why we make these videos.
Yeah, come on, devs,
We want these
listen.
either new stuff or stuff changed in the game. Hopefully, make it better and just everybody likes new ideas, and new ideas sparks feedback. Feedback means that people are going to be looking at it. Maybe the devs are going to be looking at it, and maybe they'll like the ideas, and maybe they'll put it into their game so we can all enjoy it.
Demand 16, the anti-tank soldier class.
Alright, before we start talking about the first kind of demand, I'm going to talk about, like, anti-tank soldier, or for anti-tank changes for regular soldiers. So, for starters, you got, bazooka should really weigh 6 dots, or weight slots, whatever you want to call them, with 1 pouch of ammo, because people tend to abuse this type of weapon. Like it's a bazooka. It's supposed to be heavy. It's not supposed to weigh as much as your rifle. So for instance, you got people running around with Garans and bazookas, and they're just using their bazooka as like an anti-infantry weapon instead of like an anti-tank weapon. So basically, what I'm getting at is, if you're using a bazooka, you should really be using a pistol as well instead of a gun. Um, Anti-tank nades on a soldier should be reduced to 1 instead of carrying 3, because 3 just seems way too many, and like a soldier should not be able to kill a tank with an anti-tank nade. They should only be able to disable a tank. So that's why I got all these other things here. An anti-tank nade should be able to disable a tank from moving and turning, whatnot, until, the tanker gets out and repairs his tank to full again. So this means that the tanker has to get out of his tank to repair it, while, being risky, trying to get rid of this guy with a carbine or whatever, while you're repairing your tank. Or, risk another tank coming along and killing you. This should be only for, like, sticky nades, Panzer mines, and RPGs. Also, they should have just a slight chance of setting a tank on fire, like a 5 to 10% chance. And as for H3s, they should do damage to the user inside of the tank. Of course, still taking out their engine, and so they wouldn't be able to use it, but it should just do a different thing instead of having a chance to set the tank on fire. You should not be able to carry more anti-tank nades by the use of a badge, because then that would just be super overpowered. It would just be like having anti-tank nades with an extra bonus to it. And honestly, I feel like cross-faction anti-tank weapons should be kind of refunded. Like, I find it silly that a German or a Russian soldier has sticky nades. Well, especially a German. I don't know about Russian. They might have had some kind of program to, work things out between UK and Russia. But I think the factions should have their faction-specific anti-tank nades.
Yeah, maybe if you got a Russian guy, I would say Russians would be easier. If the Russian guy's got a sticky, he's gonna have no problem taking out, say, a Tiger 2 from
Yeah,
any angle of approach.
exactly. And like the thing is, I'm thinking about like this, like an RPG. It's not really gonna pen every time you're throwing it at a tiger.
Yeah.
So the fact that these Russian guys have sticky nades, I find it kind of broken.
But as of right now, it's sort of balancing, because let's say the Russian, he's got a PDRD, but a less effective grenade. like throwable grenade, but he
Yeah.
still has access to H3. So,
H3s are like your go-to.
Whereas the other factions, they have better throwable grenades, but they don't have an anti-tank rifle yet. So it's sort of just, balancing in that way.
Yeah. I just don't like that, these people can get these people already have cross-faction weapons, and it kind of ruins the game in a way. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about the actual anti-tank soldier class. So, for starters, I think it should be a soldier that has, two more weight slots than the regular soldier. So, you can have better builds with weapons. So for instance, I said, like, you should be able to carry a submachine gun with 1 pouch of ammo and a bazooka with 1 pouch of ammo. So, a nice build like that could work. Or, you could have other builds, rifle with 2 pouches, bazooka with 1, or vice versa. You get the point. This should be the only class that gets the anti-tank rifles. So no more infantry bullcrap where every infantry guy has a PDRD. I think the PDRD should be moved to this new class. It should be the only class that gets like a anti-tank vehicle or like a static anti-tank gun with a car. So that would make the class even like more unique, besides just being able to use a PDRD, Panzer Bush, anti-tank rifles. This class, obviously, it should have like restrictions. You shouldn't be able to use an LMG or an assault rifle, or I even said scopes for rifles and such, because then that would kind of make the class even more overpowered if you had these 3 different types of things. They should be their own. They should be their own anti-tank squads. Obviously, like, AKA the anti-tank, soldier assault teams. And how this would work with like the squad system is they should cost as much as a tank themselves. Because then that wouldn't be fair if they were like an infantry guy that costs as much as an infantry guy. They should have another restriction, like they should be forced to use a main weapon like a bazooka or an anti-tank rifle, because I think it'd be overpowered if you had just a straight up anti-tank infantry guy that had only anti-tank grenades. That would kind of ruin the whole point of the class. So you should be forced to use a weapon like a bazooka or an anti-tank rifle. Simple things we got here, like a motorized squad should be 24 dudes, 12 jeeps, with either an anti-tank gun or an attached Goliath. I'll talk about the Goliath later. Or, a mounted, or we got a mounted anti-tank squad with 12 dudes and 6 anti-tank vehicles, which I'll also talk about later. Things like that. Like, so what do you think, MrAweshum? Like, do you think these changes would be kind of acceptable, or I mean, these kind of like adaptations, like these things that could be put into the game to make the class unique?
Yeah, well, let's say 24 dudes. Let's say 24 dudes. That's a reasonable number.
Yeah, it's like it's as big as like a recon squad.
Yeah, because I mean, pretty much they would be just another specialized infantry, very much like recons. So same with their squad would be, you'd say normally a recon squad. I believe a recon squad would be like, say, 28 recon and what is it, 12 or so recon cars. So
actually, I think it is 24 dudes and 12 cars, because it's 2 people per car. Remember?
Typically, yeah.
But I also said, like,
So
you know, if these guys are gonna get their, you know, their own specialized anti-tank vehicle, then there should be only, like, you know, six of these types, like, six of these vehicles in an assault team, because then that would, it'd be basically like handing out infantry tanks.
Yeah,
So you should only have, like, a very, very scarce amount of these special vehicles.
Oh, definitely, and I agree with that, and it would add a little bit more, say, versatility to just your team. To go, just let's say you can't quite afford tanks to fight other tanks, so this is kind of just
Your backup
before. You know, it would be a cheaper squad compared to a full-on tanker squad.
Yeah, exactly. Or if, like, you know, yeah, you don't want to play a tank, but you want to play something a little more versatile, like an infantry that can use anti-tank, but still have the ability of an infantry guy by, you know, capturing a building, you know, being useful.
Right. And I agree with all that.
Okay. You got anything else to say, or?
No, I like how the class should be limited. It should have its own. I like how it's, you know, sort of overpowered in a sense. Maybe it's got extra slots for new combos, but you can't use the typical LMGs or ARs and even scopes, which definitely limits to what you can do.
Exactly, like it forces you to maybe use binoculars as opposed to, like, having a scope.
But your main job is just you're hunting tanks, and that's basically you. It's not, oh, every single infantry on my team is hunting tanks. No, you're playing an AT soldier because you're deliberately hunting tanks.
So to just kind of elaborate more specifically on like forced builds, if you say have an anti-tank gun or Goliath, then on your soldier dude you should be able to only carry like a set of Panzer Fausts or anti-tank nades or mines. If you have a bazooka, then you shouldn't be able to really carry anything at all. Except for maybe an anti-tank nade, but I don't know. As far as an anti-tank rifle, it's the same thing as a bazooka. You don't really have space for anything else. Except for maybe an anti-tank nade, but that's about it. Demand 17, equipable Panzer Fausts.
Okay, so, you know, for the next demand here, we got, you know, Panzerfaust should be a viable weapon, you know. Apparently before they were a viable weapon, but I never got to play the patch. Anyway, it should be 2 and only 2 shots, no hoarder for more shots. It should only be 2. Equipable for every faction, considering, you know, those Faust crates everywhere that people can use. Should be 2 to 2.5 second reload, very quick, since it's a disposable weapon. Panzerfaust ribbon unlock, it should be, you know, a progressive kind of unlock to get the better anti-tank weapons. I'll talk about that in the next slide. And to first get the anti-tank rocket, you have to unlock it by infantry first. Say silver 2 of that ribbon, so that would be the same time you get a bolt action.
Well, it would be just less. I mean, it's less damage than a bazooka, but the whole point behind that is infantry shouldn't really be like, say, using bazookas. That's more for an anti-tank soldier.
Yeah, exactly.
So this would be like sort of a, I guess this would be like it's an infantry. It's a good enough infantry weapon, not quite as good as a bazooka, obviously, but it's good enough for, say, newer players.
Yeah, and one thing that I may have forgot to kind of write down, but I feel like the Faust should be like cheaper opposed to using like a bazooka. Like a Faust should be more of like an infantry kind of anti-tank weapon than it is for, like, an anti-tank dude anti-tank weapon. Okay, so now on the next part, starting at the top, you know, Panzer Fausts 30 through 150 should do a third damage to a tank per Faust. And then I said as the starter Panzer Faust, the Faust Patron 30, or small Panzer Faust, should only do like quarter HP damage. But I also have a chart here kind of showing the different things here. So let's just look at it. Like, some of it's based on the realistic stats. So, the Faust Patron, it's very lightweight. So, you should be able to carry more. So I said, it should be 3 slots. But, obviously this being the starter kind of Panzer Faust, it's also not that reliable. But it's reliable enough. Just kind of like the next one, it should be like 4 slots. Has, more pen. Slightly better,
the velocity is
yeah.
definitely improving as
it's basically the whole way through. So, the next one, way more, 5 slots. The velocity gets even better. And even on the Panzer Faust 100, it gets even more better, like double than the Panzer Faust 30. But this thing weighs more, so let's just say you're a regular infantry guy, you're only gonna have enough space for a rifle and the Panzer Faust. Until you get to the last one, which weighs as much as the second one, has double the amount of velocity than, let's just say, Panzer Faust 60, and it has even more pen, and since, it's lighter, I say it should, be like 4 slots, so it's going to be the best choice. So once you get to the end, you'll get the best out of the best. And now talking about ribbons, I got the kind of made up my own Panzer Faust ribbons, so for Panzer Faust 30, silver 1, Panzer Faust 60, silver 3, Panzer Faust 100, gold 1, and gold 4 for the final one. So pretty much like kind of like a simple, ribbon kind of progression like you'd see with the other guns in the game. Nothing too dramatic, but the difference is you're actually doing it with an anti-tank weapon opposed to a rifle,
Okay, so you say you should unlock a Panzer Faust at, say, infantry for 7, but how do you get your Panzer Faust specific ribbon to 5 to use the first Panzer Faust?
Well, okay, so you rank your stuff up to get at infantry, so you use your Goliath to, shoot a bunch of people, get the Faust Patron. Once you get Faust Patron, you can go through this whole list of Panzer Fausts. It's pretty simple.
Right, so you start off with your Faust Patron, then you just have to get your 5 ranks, and then you get your better Panzer Faust 30, and move up through the rank through that.
Exactly. So it'll, like, when you're looking at the chart, it'll be kind of like a preference. Like, do you want to keep using the first one, which is kind of crummy, but it takes up less space?
Yeah, and it's got good enough pen, but...
Or do you want to, like, use the next one, which is, good enough. I mean, might be the preferred one of the next 2, but I don't know, you might want the last one, or the second last one, the Panzer Faust 100, because it has better, velocity. But of course, once you get to the very last one, the 150, that'll be your obvious choice because it's green in almost every category.
If I was a new player, I would love to carry around a Panzer Fausts.
Oh, hell yeah. That would be so boss.
And it wouldn't be, say, broken, because...
You wouldn't be able to kill a tank unless it was already wounded.
Right, but you'd have to shoot two shots and then go reload more Panzer Fausts?
Yeah, like at an ammo box.
Mm-hmm.
But, as I said, you shouldn't be able to carry more, because then... That just breaks the whole system of the anti-tank character, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Demand 18, Controllable Goliath.
Alright, so for our next demand here, we probably have the more or most exciting thing on this video. We're going to be talking about the Goliath tracked mine. So, you know, just some simple information here. You know, this vehicle can be detonated from safety with a controller, and it has great and explosive impact meant for killing tanks, but doesn't mean, you know, you can't kill infantry with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide one under a bridge and then zip it out.
Yeah. That'll be hilarious.
Surprise somebody.
Okay, so, you know, for some, you know, starter things here, it should be as fast as, say, an infantry riding a bike. It's not that fast in real life. It's kind of slow, but I'm saying it should be as fast as a guy riding a bike. So, you know...
If you're paying attention, you would be able to see this thing zipping along a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't run. You have to shoot it. You can't outrun it. It should be unlockable for every faction because, you know, people are just gonna complain if it's not unlockable for every faction. But unless there's another substitute that I don't even know about, I would just say this would be GE only. But I don't know. It's kind of up to the crowd. Only deployable by anti-tank soldier, possibly recon, maybe with like recon vehicle. You should have to kind of stay in visual contact to see where the Goliath is going, obviously. This is a given. Like, I mean, yes, you could drive it blind around a building if you kind of know, you know, how fast it is and, you know, you get used to it, but if you can't see where it's going, then I don't know, what's the point? You know, your character should be able to move with, you know, the explosive as well as it's moving around, because, yeah, exactly what I just said, you know, if you can't see where it's going, then you might just bump into something and not see it moving. Max distance between the user and the explosive should be maybe like 100 meters. In real life, it might be more. I don't know, but
100 meters basically means that, I mean, say some bridges are 100 meters across. So I mean, some bridges you could go from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was getting at. Like, it should be able to go from one side of the bridge to the other, like, flawlessly. But as soon as it hits that 100 mark, it should just kind of snag, like a dog on a leash. You know, kind of one of the downsides is it is, you know, pennable by everything, but it should take a decent amount of pepper to take it down, like, you know, say, you know, 3 bolt action shots. So that'll equal to, say, 300 HP. If it gets destroyed, like if it gets shot, it should detonate no matter what. So once this thing is rolling around, there's like no stopping it unless you can find the user. It should one-hit kill a light tank. It should put a medium tank at 25%. If, you know, it's like obviously really close. And put a heavy tank at 50% if it's really close again. and the blast radius should be, you know, the equivalent to like a plane bomb. Like it should be really big.
I'm gonna drive that thing into a building and blow it up.
I don't think that thing is small enough to fit in a doorway. But you could certainly try in certain buildings. That would be kind of a funny game changer. More things. It should be max 10 per soldier, or I mean, like anti-tank soldier. You don't want to see like a person just camping near a jeep, spitting these things out. Like, no, you should only really get 10 a game. It's like a very special thing to use. You know, you should only be able to kind of get it off of the back of your jeep, like it's
Kind of like a Faust.
yeah, kind of like a Faust box or a health package. You know, basically what I'm saying is you're replacing a, a package that could have been useful for something that's a specialized weapon for this class. You know, some downsides, you know, the recharge rate should be very long, like 4 minutes. There should be a remote controller that you have to also use. I mean, it should be free when you purchase the thing on your vehicle, but no matter what, it should weigh like two dots of your 12. So you already have 2 dots wasted from just having this vehicle. And of course, like something simple, you know, a remote controller should only become active when you actually use the Goliath, so you don't accidentally click on it. Or, I mean, press a button and switch to it. It should be like kind of a hard choice of using this Goliath thing over an anti-tank gun, which I'll talk about later about anti-tank guns, but the point is, you know, if you're using a Jeep, you either choose one or the other. You can't have both. So, you know, some may think the anti-tank gun is more useful because you can keep shelling the enemy, as where Goliath is very limited. You only get 10, but you may not even use all of them anyway. You know, it should be really hard to achieve, you know, gold 4 of, like, tank destruction. It should be very expensive, like 200k base price, 600 to 1,000 per unit, and just to kind of keep things simple for developers, they shouldn't include a wire / a cable, because then, I don't know, that would just kind of seem weird to see a cable go through a building when this thing's traveling through a building. Maybe if it was like traveling behind the vehicle, but I don't know.
I don't know, I like how it should be limited. It should only be for the AT soldiers. That makes a lot of sense. It should be very hard to get, very expensive, because, I mean, come on, you're driving around, you're on ground, and you're basically driving a bomb. You're going to be able to put that bomb just about anywhere you want to, say, easier than if you were flying an airplane.
Maybe not as easy as flying an airplane, but
I
kind of get what you're talking about.
You'll be able to drive it on ground level, say through a forest. You'll be able to see.
True.
Where it's going.
You'll basically be able to direct a 109 bomb wherever you're going. So you have a 109 bomb at your disposal on the ground instead of in the air.
It would just be something fun and different.
Yeah, exactly. Change of pace, and it'd be something very unique to even this game. I've never seen this vehicle in any other game, so I think that'd be pretty cool.